that bitch. Jump in that fire.
Welcome back. Tonight's topic, although it might sound cliche, is with great power comes great responsibility. Before I even get into this video, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, he's kind of unprofessional, got his hood on and blah, 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 blah. Hey, man, it's mad dark outside. Spur of the moment, hair ain't even sponged. I just wanted to get on here to talk for a second before it slips my mind and I forget everything I wanted to say. But a couple weeks ago, I had a conversation with a customer who, I guess he had a wife and he wanted to put work on his long-term side chick to make her obsessed and pull her to him and all this different shit. And excuse me, see, I ain't trying to cuss and all this different stuff. And although there was various reasons as to why I had to decline, the main one being is a lot of times you guys aren't thinking of like what comes with the work that you're putting out. See, I know you have your desires and things that you want to transpire when you get your magic, and you know you want exactly what you're paying for and what you are desiring to transpire. But the thing is, there's a lot of times cons that come along with what you want, and a lot of people aren't weighing those pros and cons. You got to think about the things that come along with you getting what you want. So for example, with this guy's scenario, I said, yeah, you know, what you're saying sounds dandy and all, you know, BK, have it your way, you know, it sounds cool. But what you're not thinking about is what you putting this love work on this lady, on your side chick, you're going to make her very obsessed. AKA, she's no longer going to want to be the side chick. She's going to want to be the main chick. And what you're going to end up dealing with is your wife finding out about what it is that you got going on, because you put work on this girl to get her so obsessed with you to the point that she no longer is going to want to be the side chick. So in the beginning, it's going to seem all nice and all cool and dandy. But after that obsession starts to build and that feeling of jealousy starts to really come over her, she's really going to want to be the main chick. And now you got to deal with the consequences of what it is that you asked for. And a lot of times what you getting isn't going to come with any consequences. But things like that, you really got to start thinking about the long-term effects of what it is that you're putting out there. And this is why I say with great power comes great responsibility. With people who are really into magic, whether you're buying it or you know how to do it yourself, a lot of people aren't thinking down the line as to what am I going to have to deal with after I get what I asked for. So, for example, okay, you want more clients, you want to do money magic. All right, cool. But what comes with that is going to be stress. Yeah, you're going to get your money, but you're going to have stress. You're going to have more expenses because of blah, blah, blah. All these different things, taxes, X, Y, Z. Okay, you got a boss at your job you have an issue with. So now your boss gets sick, he gets fired, not gets fired, but he gets sick and no longer wants to run the business. Guess what? Now you're out of a job. So a lot of times I get a lot of customers who come to me asking me for things. And it's like, okay, it sounds good on paper. It sounds good like to you at the moment, but I'm thinking long term. I'm thinking about what you're going to have to deal with after you get what it is that you asking me for. Another thing is you also have to understand, like I said, the consequences, but can you deal with those consequences? If you down with the consequences, you cool with it or whatever, then all right, then let's get it rocking, let's get it popping. But a lot of times, for example, with Tranquil work, there's many times, and I keep seeing this over and over again, in which I explain to you guys very, especially recently, I explained very in detail as to what could happen to your target. And you guys sound cool with it in the moment, but once you see what actually starts happening to these people and what you have to start dealing with, now all of a sudden you change your mind. But it's because you're so stuck on what it is that you desire and what you want. You're not thinking about what's coming with that. All right, so you put in Tranquil on a dude, and now for whatever reason, he ends up really sick. He can't go to work. Now he's broke and in a wheelchair. So now you got to take care of him, and you get no bills paid by this nigga no more. Guess what? That's what you asked for. That's what you asked for. That's what you wanted. And you wasn't thinking about that at the time, but here we are, because that's what Tranquil does. Sometimes with work, the thing is, look, I get you know what you want. I get that you really want what you want. But like I said, a lot of times, especially me, after over the years of me doing so many different things, and testing so much stuff out, I begin to start thinking like, all right, let me take 15 to 20 minutes, maybe even an hour to a couple of days about what I'm about to put out into the universe or whatever you want to call it before I really do it, because I want to make sure what is the cons that's come along with what I'm doing. But back to the intrinsic thing. Like I said, you guys really got to start thinking, am I okay with what I'm most likely going to have to deal with? To give you another example, matter of fact, an even better example, for those of you who have people who are your enemies and you want to get revenge work done, hexes, curses, etc., a lot of times I tell people, the people around that person are liable to get hit as well. Just because magic a lot of times ricochets, and it not only affects that target, it affects that person's family members, friends, whoever might be in their I guess environment, I guess you could say. Not even necessarily their environment, anyone that's got a close connection to them. And I tell people this, and yet people still ask me, oh, can it be controlled? Because I don't want that person's kids to be affected, or I'm really cool with that person's friend and I don't want them to be affected. And it's like, okay, then you don't need this work. This is what I mean by you got to think about the cons that come along with a lot of work. You go out hexing people and throwing curses around. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, it looks nice. It's cool. That's what you want to do, whatever. But you real cool with Pookie and Day Day and them that also rocks with your enemy. And it's like, Pookie and Day Day might get hit. That's just how it might be. And now you got to deal with that on your conscience. Now, if you're a person that don't care, like I said, if you don't care about the consequences, do whatever you want to do. But a lot of you aren't thinking long term. You have to think long term about what it is that you're doing. If you're not cool with the person you put in tranquil work on becoming broke, dusty, or potentially crippled, don't do the work. That's all for this video. Like, share, and subscribe. Once again, with great power comes great responsibility.